So
Good morning.
first, just tell me your name, the company you work for, your position, and your managerial background.
All right, Mike Bailey, and the company I work for is Techner Apex. It's a compounder, so we compound PVC, TPEs, and some vinyls and nylons. So my background is I'm an engineer
Okay.
by degree. Worked as an engineer for a little while, and then got a job managing a small production shift. Worked my way up through sales and production, and have always bounced back and forth between managing sales forces and managing operations, from VP of operations to VP of sales and all things in between.
So just a variety of management positions.
Yeah, I've been in the plastics industry for pretty much 31 years now, so a few different companies and always in some sort of management position.
So how is COVID-19 affecting your day-to-day work life?
Interesting question, right? COVID-19 has definitely changed the way that we go about our day. Okay, so I'm currently managing a sales force of 5 people that cover the central portion of the country for Techner Apex. And there are 3 people that do the job that I do, one in the Northeast, me in the central region of the country, and there's a guy in the West. Each of us has about 5 sales reps that report to us that handle the day-to-day sales of our company. So typically our day is spent either doing reports and getting, getting things ready for our people, trying to support our people with pricing support and with reports on raw material, what's going on with raw materials and all that kind of stuff. And then we travel with our people. Obviously, in order to manage somebody, you have to be with them. You really can't tell how good someone is in front of the customer if you're not in front of the customer with them. So we do a lot of traveling with our sales reps, and in doing that, we have a lot of higher level meetings, right? When the boss comes, then the president of the company wants to sit in on the meeting instead of just the purchasing manager, which is who my people typically call on, is just the purchasing manager. So with COVID, our company shut down travel really quickly. So I think it was March the 1st, they told the outside sales force, which is myself as a manager and all the people that work for me that are all remotely located, they told us all to stop traveling. So that was a big change in our world, because now my people, who are typically in front of the customer 5 days a week or 4 days a week, were sitting in front of their computer screen. And so the challenge for me and for them was how to remain effective, and how to continue to try to sell your product, and how to continue to push new product development projects and samples and all that kind of stuff into a customer base that's used to having you sit in front of them, and that is also responding to this virus. So it changed things quite a bit.
So in your experience, how has that affected the manufacturing of the product and the total outlook of the company?
Okay, so manufacturing also obviously had to deal with this. So our company has been very proactive in trying to keep our people safe. And so what we've done in our manufacturing plants is we've split our shifts into teams. And the teams take breaks in different areas of the plant. And then when one team takes a break, that area is cleaned while the other team takes a break in a different break room. And if anyone from that team or that team's family or anyone they've come in contact with has a positive test or thinks they might have a positive test, we send that team home. So in a typical manufacturing plant for us, we've got plants in Rhode Island, plants in Tennessee, South Carolina, and California. In a typical plant, we've got 7 or 8 vinyl lines, vinyl compounding lines. So it takes quite a few people to run those. But if half the team goes because of a COVID test, then all of a sudden you're trying to figure out, all right, which lines can I run and how much can I get out of those lines? So what we're doing from a management standpoint is we're having conference calls every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with the operations team and the sales managers, myself and the 2 other people that I mentioned. And we're literally saying, okay, this is how many shifts we have in our Rhode Island plant. These are the lines we think we can run. Here's the list of customer orders we have. Who do we want to run, and who do we want to tell no? Or maybe we don't want to tell them no,
Yeah.
but they're going to be late a day, 2 days. Is that a problem? So the communication between operations and sales has increased a lot. It was always pretty good, but now it's really good.
It has to be.
And the communication to our customers of exactly what we think is going to happen with their orders has obviously increased as well. So it's been different. But the good news is we have not had a positive test of any of the people in any of our manufacturing plants since we started this protocol. So
It's really good. So obviously,
pretty
whatever
proud of it.
everything's working.
It's working. Just to add to that too, from a human side, what our CEO did way back at the beginning is asked the hourly people, he said, please come to work if you feel safe. Okay, we want you first and foremost to feel safe. We know some of you are managing kids who are now at home and there's nowhere for them to go, and you're gonna have to bounce that back and forth with your spouse if that's the situation, or you're just scared. And so the first thing that our CEO did was gave all of the hourly folks an extra week of vacation. He said, use this if you feel like you need to, as we see where this COVID-19 situation is gonna shake out. Very generous, right?
Yeah.
A lot of guys stayed home, and we had 40 to 50% absenteeism early on, which is difficult for us to run the plant, obviously, like that. The other thing he did, as he saw that the absenteeism was high, and in order to give the folks some incentive, was they raised the hourly pay for people that would show up. So there's a bonus, there's a show up bonus for every guy that shows up. So a lot of companies are going the other way, cutting pay and saying, oh, we're
Only
we're
doing
not
the
making
minimum
as,
basic operations.
right, we're not making as much money. Our CEO said, no, I'm gonna pay the people that show up to help our company survive. So he's been really, really great about trying to be positive with his people. And like I said, obviously the protocols are working, so it's been really good.
It's good. You mentioned earlier a little bit about customer response. So how have you been handling that customer response?
It's tough, right? I think the good news is, for whatever it's worth, everybody's going through the same thing. So the customers are relatively understanding. And when I say relatively understanding, I think, you know, the folks who are looking at their business and saying, I really need compound right now in order to run. We're a raw material, right? If you're making medical tubing, we make the compound that the tubing is made of. You extrude that compound. You can't make tubing unless we get you compound, right? And we do have medical customers. So the medical customers have really gone to the top of our priority list, okay? They're getting a customer treatment. But some of the other customers, though they tell us what they need, you know, I'm gonna shut down if I don't have anything by Monday, tell me what you can do, tell me what you can do. They understand we're doing the best we can. So really for us and for my people, what I've stressed is communicate, okay? Nothing is worse than saying to somebody, oh, yeah, that order that was gonna show up today, it's not gonna show up today, it's gonna be there next week, right? So better to say, your order that was going to show up Monday is now gonna show up Wednesday, but I'm letting you know that a week in advance.
Yeah.
Maybe they can switch their manufacturing around. Unfortunately, sometimes maybe they go to our competitor and get something.
And that's just what you have to deal with.
And that's what you have to deal with right now. Yeah.
So then, last question is, what do you see as your group and company's path forward after this is all gone?
That's an interesting question, I think, not only for our company, but for the country. But I think as this settles back out, you know, we'll get back into that rhythm of customer calls. We'll be back in a customer-facing situation. I think our manufacturing plants eventually will get back into the rhythm of people showing up. And it's funny, after the initial week where a lot of people stayed home, and even 2 or 3 weeks as people stayed home in the manufacturing plants, eventually, you know, reality sets in that A, this is gonna last a little bit longer than we thought, and B, I've got bills to pay, right? And so you hate to say it this way, but I think people looked and said, I've gotta go back to work, right? And so they took some risk by going back to work, but because the company has really done a good job with cleaning, and I didn't even mention, hired extra cleaning crews that literally are walking around wiping everything down. That's all they do.
So it's kind of changed the management strategy even within the operations plant.
It has. But I think all of that will fall back away at some point when there's some confidence that this virus is no longer rampant. I'm just not sure when that's going to happen. So for now, we're still at home, You know, I'm still working only from home. I haven't traveled since March the 1st. None of my people have traveled to face a customer since March the 1st. We have it, that restriction in place until the end of May. And then we'll look at it again and see. At some point in time, business has got to get back to normal. I'm just not sure when that'll be and what it will feel like when it does.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.